My gosh, I'm so sick of this crap in Ohio. I'm sure it happens in all the northern states. Places sell you a brake fluid flush, right? This guy paid like $1,700 at some shop to get his brakes done. They put the cheapest advanced auto parts rotors they could on it, the cheapest advanced auto parts pads they could on it. They didn't lube them down properly, right? There's no lube. They probably didn't clean the calipers off right. They just basically pad slapped it with a new rotor, right? And they told him at brake fluid flush because your brake fluid's really old. So he brings it to me because a week or two later, the pedal's just going all the way to the floor. It stops eventually when it gets all the way down, but it's going way down, which is usually either the front system has a leak or the back system has a leak. It's losing fluid. And, you know, if the back system has a leak, it'll fall all the way down until it triggers the front. And the same with the front. If they have a leak, they'll trigger the back. And you can still stop clear at the bottom, right? However, I pressure tested it, and I had to wait a week to get my pressure test adapter. Or I had to wait 2 weeks to get my pressure test adapter from Motive. Amazon just loses the packages and shipping, and they never arrive. Motive finally sent it, and it's kind of a crappy universal adapter that doesn't seal great, but I got it to hold about 7 pounds, so that's good enough, right? So, I'm like, this shouldn't be a problem. They just did a brake fluid flush. I can get these bleeders loose. No, this bleeder is completely rusted. I've tried heating it with the propane torches. I've tried a wrench on it. It's completely stuck in there. It's never been touched. They never opened any of the bleeders when they sold a brake system flush. They probably either line bled it or they sucked the master cylinder dry and tried to refill it and got air in the system, and now the brake pedal's falling. It could still be a bad master cylinder, but I won't know till I can get the bleeders loose to check the system. So now if I can't get this bleeder loose, then it's going to have a new caliper, right? And it might need 4 new calipers because they've introduced air into the system selling the fake brake fluid flush. You know, look, I get it. Like, brake fluid does go bad over time and it needs flushed. But when I sell a brake fluid flush, I let people know, hey, if those bleeders are stuck and they won't come loose, it's going to get expensive. You know, and I don't normally push brake fluid flushes in Ohio because unless the fluid's really, really bad, it's good enough, let it go. One of these days when the lines are going to rust and we're going to have to bleed them anyway, right? And they said they were putting new brake lines on it. These are the old brake lines. There's nothing new here. Now, it might be on the other side or something, I don't know. But what the heck? Why do shops have to be so dishonest? I'm honest with people, and I have way more work than I can handle. I could do this full time, and I could make a couple $100,000 a year easy, right? I mean, it's just never ending, the amount of work that I'm turning down, right? And other shops pull this crap. And so what you have now is a real mechanic, me, you know, who does it on the side in the weekends, coming back and saying they never did a brake fluid flush on this, and now they've introduced air into the system, and now we got to get these bleeders loose. But the bleeders might break off in the caliper. You might have to get a new caliper, right? And you might have to get 4 new calipers, and it might get really expensive because they sold you a fake brake fluid flush. Oh, and I don't think they line bled it either because I don't see any, you know, marks on this bolt for the line. So I don't think they line bled it. I mean, line bleeding's bad, but I have done it before and gotten by with it. But you introduce some air into the system, not enough to make this pedal just fall all the way down. But there's no leaks, so it's either a bad master cylinder or they got air in the system. And I even if I put a new master cylinder on it, I have to bleed it, so I got to get the bleeders out. It's just a shame that shops rip people off like this. I did the brakes on this car the last time it needed brakes, and you know, I charged like $200-300 to do the brakes all the way around, and the brake fluid didn't look extremely bad, right? And so I doubt it needed it this time either. He could have just got some pads and some rotors, and I would have, lubed. I would have cleaned the calipers. I would have put new brake hardware in. This is the old brake hardware. They didn't even put new brake hardware in. I would have cleaned the surfaces here and put some lube on that and done it right. It only takes 10 extra minutes just to do it right. But, I mean, I see a lot of shops that don't do the brakes right. And that's one thing. But when they sell you a brake fluid flush and they don't, and the brake fluid in the front is new looking, so they've sucked it out or done something. But they didn't bleed it back here, because this one's stuck. I'm just sick of dishonest shops taking people's money. Like, what the heck? Why are you just stealing people's money and introducing bigger problems with their car? Because they want them to come back. And they'll be like, oh yeah, you got bad calipers. We had to replace them all. And then they'll bleed it right? And they'll charge them another $1,700. It's crazy. Why? Why do they have to rip people off to try to stay in business? There's so much business when you do good work. It's never ending. But when you rip people off and the real mechanic looks at it and says they ripped you off, they're never coming back. They're not a customer anymore. And they will tell everybody. He says, oh, my car broke down. Well, don't take it here. This guy tried to rip me off. And then they lose customers and they have to shut down their shop. Because they tried to make a quick buck rather than just doing the job the right way. Alright, I'm going to try to stick a drill bit down in here that fits and try to impact this caliper, this bleeder loose if we can. I just have to find a drill bit that's going to fit down in there. But yeah, it's crazy. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper. Alright, so I get people all the time that show up on my video about how I do the brake calipers. They say, oh, you just use the tip of the flame like this. That's the hardest part. And I'm more like, this is the flame. And they're like, oh no, that's all wrong. No, this is better because you're spreading that tip around the part that you're heating, and you're heating more of it. More surface area is contacting the bolt than if you're just out here doing a little tiny tip. That does not get it as hot as this does. Common misconception, but trust me, I've done this long enough. I know this puts out way more heat into the part you're heating than this. Alright, let me finish heating this up and then take it off. Alright, I tried, but she broke off. She just broke off. So, yeah, new caliper time. And we're probably going to have to replace all the calipers. I'm going to call and talk to the customer and see what he wants to do. I mean, I have to, even if the master cylinder is bad, I'm going to have to replace these calipers that the bleeder breaks off on. And it's getting late tonight. I'll probably jack this up tomorrow and check them all. See if they all break loose. If I can break the bleeders loose, or if I gotta have new calipers. But he's gonna be into this for some money. Because they sold him a brake fluid flush and didn't do a brake fluid flush. Because they would have had to replace the calipers too. Holy crap. Sometimes you can heat those up with oxyacetylene and get them out, but the brake line and everything's right up in there. So if I get the oxyacetylene in there, the flame's gonna spread out and it's gonna melt all that stuff. So it's not really an option there. I could take the calipers off. What a freaking nightmare. Oh man. I just get to where I just don't want to work on cars that other people have worked on. I just don't. They just screw them up and charge them a bunch of money and send them out the door. Oh well. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of clean this up and get inside.